Good afternoon, gentlemen. This is Chris Link again with Apple Industries. And today I am fortunate enough to have Alex with Teton Music and Games, and I have Dan with Cactus Bar. So we're just going to have a little conversation here about from an operator standpoint and also from our owner. So why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself first, Alex, you being the operator?
Well, I've been an operator for about 20 years, been in the industry for 45. My goal is to try to make things better for any of my locations. If I think I have an idea that would work, I try to present it to my bar owners. Dan was a little hesitant with this for quite a while. I think his sister helped kind of sway him a little bit finally, and I'm happy he did go that way. I always felt that a photo booth would do well in his bar because it seems to be a destination that is known across the country. Other than that, it's I cherish my customers. I want to treat them right. I want to do the best possible job I can for them. And this photo booth was one of the things I kind of pushed hard for because I thought it would work.
And
so
it did work, right, Alex? And Dan, so tell us a little bit about your bar, and then tell us a little bit about your hesitancy with why it took a little while for Alex to convince you, and then tell us exactly what your experience has been, if you could, please.
Yeah, no problem. So my bar is pretty old. It's been around since 1936, so it's very well established in Boise, and actually we've gotten quite a bit of news coverage across the country, which is pretty astounding for kind of a niche dive bar, but we see a lot of college students, and we kind of have our own little niche. So in terms of that, we've been really well established. I'm really lucky with the type of bar and how we've been able to keep going through the decades. It's really kind of a no frills type of bar. There's nothing super special about it, but we just try to do sound business principles of keeping the bar afloat and not charging too much for a drink, so that we get everybody, all walks of life coming in the doors. My hesitancy when it began with the photo booth was, I don't know, when we first started off this conversation, Chris, you said that most people are pretty hesitant because everybody's got a really good phone in their pocket for the most part. But I think it kind of goes along the lines of the reason why it was so successful is just because everybody's got a phone in the pocket doesn't mean that they're not going to enjoy a photo booth. It's kind of like, anybody can go to a liquor store and buy liquor, but they go to a bar and they spend a little bit more money. It's because of the experience. And Alex kind of knew that. I was hesitant because I'd never seen a photo booth really work before, but I didn't have much to compare it to. I thought of like a small little photo booth at weddings and stuff, but Alex kept pushing and said that, just give it a shot. And then I introduced it to my sister, and she was like, well, I mean, we can get rid of the pinball machine, and it was kind of falling off a little bit in terms of profit for that. And so we were like, let's just switch things up. And so we decided to bring it on. I'm really, really glad that Alex kept pushing it, because like you said, he's always looking out for my best interest and both of our best interests for the most part. And so we brought it in, and people loved it. I think the big part about it is for the most part, like in bars, the lighting for people is not the greatest. And in terms of I think our society nowadays is centered around social media and Instagram, and things have come where they want really good quality pictures when it comes to things. And so with their phone, it's really hard, especially in that dimly lit bar, to get a really good quality picture. So actually, I'll see people in the photo booth taking photos just because of the lighting. And so it's kind of a weird little niche that I hadn't really thought of. I've tried to integrate the photo booth in with our social media presence to kind of stimulate it a little bit, while also posting some of the printout pictures on the photo booth to entice people to come to it. So I feel like that's helped. And actually, we've gotten quite a few people just kind of talking about it. Some people, since we've been closed now, some people have actually said they missed the photo booth, and it's one of the best ones. It's the best lighting in town, and it's a really interesting thing that I hadn't really anticipated before bringing on the photo booth.
Yeah,
I don't remember what your other question was, but
no, that's all good information. I just really want to hear it from your point of view, you know, what's the success, and, you know, what your hesitancy was on trying. But, and it's interesting that you say that you have people that have come up to you and say they miss the photo booth. They don't miss you, or they don't miss the bar, and they miss the photo booth.
well, I'm meaning more on social media. They comment on our social media pages saying that they miss the bar, but then I noticed one specific thing was that they missed the photo booth.
That is funny.
Yeah.
So I do know a little bit too about, you know, what the photo booth was doing, and it was very interesting because, as you mentioned, you are currently closed, and I know that you probably were closed then in March as well, early March, and then you guys did open, right, for a short time.
Correct. Yeah, we closed down. I can't remember the dates exactly, but we closed down. We were closed down for, I think, maybe 2 months roughly, and then we opened up for 3 weeks, and then we got shut down again.
Oh, wow. So it was just 3 weeks that you were open. During those 3 weeks, what was business like compared to, say, pre-COVID?
You know, I think there was a lot of skepticism and people were hesitant about coming out still. However, most of the younger generation still wanted to come out. So it definitely was not back to normal, but we were starting to see the number of people wanting to come out, but we still had to kind of adhere to certain safety protocols. And so we had to limit the amount of people coming into the bar. And coincidentally, like the weekend before we got shut down again, we actually had a Zoom call with Central District Health to talk about how we can help as an industry, help reduce some of the increase in cases that were coming about. And so, you know, we just thought of ideas to help people, to entice people to wear masks. That last weekend, we actually, most of the major players in downtown Boise were handing out masks to everybody coming in the door, and it ended up not working because they ended up deeming to shut us down anyway. So
Yeah, that's too bad. Well, like, we've seen that happen across the country where some states have opened, and unfortunately they end up closing a few weeks later. But luckily there's been some that have remained open. So let's hope that we're getting closer and closer as a country to being able to get our lives back to, as you know, our new normal. Is there anything else that you guys would like to add in regards to the business with the photos and or COVID? Anything else that you guys would like to add to share with everybody?
I just want to tell Dan thanks for finally giving it a shot, Chief. I really appreciate it.
Of course, man. It seems like you always try to push. You don't try to push something on me that's not going to work for me and you. I know most of our distributors, most everybody says, look, this is mutually beneficial, where they'll say, hey, bring this on because you know, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work for me. And so they say that, but you've always really stood behind and said, you know, I really do think this is work. You try to analyze my business and not just what's good for you, but what's good for both of us. And then you help me push it. And so, yeah, I appreciate it too.
Well, and I think that that's what our industry is all about. And so, you know, with our operators and bar owners, any of our locations. You know, we're all in this together. You know, and we see that more and more, obviously, with the whole COVID thing, right? So anyway, I appreciate your time, you guys. Thank you so much.
I had a quick question for you, Chris, too. I don't have anything to compare it to. So you called for this call saying like that we've been doing really well. You know, I wouldn't know just because I don't have anything compared to. So how is our photo booth doing really well compared to most of the country, or how does that look?
You know, if you wouldn't mind, why don't you share what your collections have been, and then I'd be able to answer that question, because I'd rather it come from you than me throw out a number. So what have your collections been?
Well, I'd have to look. I can look real quick. Give me 1 second.
Well, let's have you do that.
I
Again,
can give you a rough ballpark.
okay. Well, he just walked away for a second. He's he took his earpiece off, so we'll let him get these numbers.
You might have to help me with this, Alex, too, because I don't usually look at
Well,
specifically
Dan,
what
I
it
can
is.
tell you it was averaging between 500 and 1,000 a week.
Oh, okay. Well, then, yeah, I guess I should have asked you. You'd be like, you know.
It probably, I would say your average was probably right around, I'll say between 6 and 7 most of the time. But you were getting some really good weeks, and when you opened back up, I think you had almost hit 1,000 1 week.
Wow.
Okay.
So I
And
would say that collection is very good. That collection is very, very good. Answer this for me, because again, I don't know the answer to this question, but you have a jukebox in there, I'm assuming, and you said you had a pinball in there. What other equipment do you have in there?
let's see. At that time, I had a pool table. We replaced the pinball with the photo booth, and then I have a jukebox. And then a couple other little bar games, like we have cornhole on the back patio. We have giant Jenga, and yeah, those are the only bar games we have.
Okay, so
The 2 dartboards, which recently came in.
Yeah, we
okay,
changed out the pool table for the dartboards.
okay, and that's because of COVID, I'm assuming?
We wanted to switch things up in general. We're not a very big bar, so a pool table, I think, just didn't, for me, it didn't make sense anymore because it took up so much room. And
Okay.
so we wanted to change things up. It wasn't really because of COVID. So.
Okay, and then, so that's good to know. So to answer this, Alex, tell me in this bar, what is your number one earner? And just, or do it, you can give it your number one earners and then do a percentage.
I'm going to say the jukebox and the photo booth pretty much are neck and neck, I think. The jukebox may have a slight edge of 10 to 20%, but with what's been going on lately, the numbers are kind of hard to understand because, you know, people are afraid to go out. But looking back at past numbers, they're really close. Like I said, the jukebox has a slight edge, but I haven't seen anything like the photo booth in a long time to come up and stay up there with a jukebox.
And how long has it been in there, guys? Because that's the other thing. So, you know, is it something that is, you think, a fad, or is it something that has some legs in it?
Well, we put it in, I think it was like 2 weeks before Christmas, Dan.
Yeah, it's been in there not very long, I wouldn't say. I mean, I've got one here from 115. The photo booth was in there, so 18. So yeah,
We tried
at
to
least
get it in.
the
I know
beginning
we
of
had it in for the New Year's.
Okay, then yeah, only as of this year. So
Yeah,
Okay.
so we're talking about 3.5 months before everything started shutting down, and but I did not see any decline whatsoever in those 3 months.
Okay.
It was steady.
Well, and
Excellent.
our business, my business is I do primarily most of my income through or business sales wise during the summer. So we haven't even had the photo booth in there during our during our busiest time of the year. It's like because March is right about the time where sales start to go up, but January, February are our slowest times of the year, and then
Wow.
right now is our busiest time of year. And so we're not even hitting it. So I'm once COVID is over, I'd be surprised, or I'd really like to see how the photo booth does when we're in full swing and summer's going. So
Interesting. Well, it looks like we may not find that out until next year, but
yeah, maybe not.
we will remain hopeful and appreciate this information. I think it's going to be very helpful. So if anybody has any questions, they are welcome to reach out to me. Thank you again so much for your time, gentlemen. Appreciate it very much.
Cool, thank you.
All right.